Pixel 2 XL or the Galaxy S9 Plus, which has the better camera? Well, we're going to find out in this video. To access the camera on the Google Pixel 2 XL, you do have multiple ways to get to this thing. One is going to be at the power button. You do have a quick launch. You can just quickly double tap this power button to get into the camera. Really easy and just start firing away. That's a nice feature that we've seen on prior Samsung devices. And on the lock screen, you can go ahead and open it up. Also, you can go to your typical camera button to just get into there. And when you are in the software, you are presented with a fairly simple camera experience. You can click that little, two arrows to go to the selfie camera, click it back to go back to the rear, and you just fire away with the burst button. You can hold this down for burst photos and you can get multiples at once. It will show you the number there right on the screen. You can click the video icon to go in and shoot a video. And what I like about this video on the Pixel 2 XL is it doesn't start recording video right away as it does on the S9 when you click video. You can go ahead and pause the video and continue recording. Heading back over into the camera settings, you can see that you do have your hamburger menu over here with slow motion settings, panorama settings, photosphere. You do have portrait mode, just like you can find on like an iPhone. You do have AR stickers, which is augmented reality stickers. And going into settings, you are presented with quite a few settings here. You can change the grid here. You do have some gestures to go ahead and get into the camera. And you also can change the resolution at 12.2, 7.7, 1.9, 8.3, 4.1, and 0.9 megapixels. Now on the front camera, you can change it all the way down to 0.2 megapixels, but I don't know why you would ever want to go down to 0.2 megapixels, but you can do that there on the Google Pixel 2 XL. Also, you have your panorama resolution. If you want a higher resolution panoramic shot, that is available on board. And in advanced settings, you do have the show dirty lens warning, HDR plus control there. Now under video, we can go up to 4K 30, but unfortunately you cannot do 4K 60 here. Front camera does go up to 1080p, and then you just have some send feedback and help. Now, here's where the Pixel 2 XL really shines, is under the HDR mode. You can go into HDR on, off, or enhanced, but I would recommend leaving it on. It's actually on by default when you do get a Pixel 2 XL, so most people are going to be shooting in the HDR mode, but if you do want to turn that off, it's just going to give you a worse picture overall on a Pixel 2 XL, so I wouldn't turn that off. You also have motion photos, which is essentially Google's version of the live photos you can see on an iPhone. These work pretty well as well. You do have auto, modes here for your white balance. You do have cloudy. You can change it to fluorescent or tungsten to get the right lighting scenarios going here for your device. Also, you do have the flash on and off buttons here in the software. So you can see everything is really simple here on the Pixel 2 XL. And if you never touch anything and you just open the camera and just tap the photo, it can pretty much do what you need it to do without changing any of these settings. But those are basically the settings in the Pixel 2 XL and the software that is on board. Now on the Galaxy S9 Plus, there is that telephoto dual camera setup that allows you to go a little bit better on the zoom. The way to access this camera is actually exactly the same as the Pixel 2 XL. You go ahead and hit the power button twice and you're in. You can swipe up from the lock screen and you're also in. And you can also remap that Bixby button if you use some third-party software to open the camera if you'd like to do that. That's going to take a little bit of know-how, but you can do it if you remap it. Now the camera down here at the bottom, you can go ahead and just click that to get in as well. Now, when you get into the Galaxy S9 software, it's easy, just like the Pixel 2 XL, to just snap a photo and hold it down for burst mode. But when you get into more of the settings, it does get a little bit more difficult. You can go ahead and open up the selfie mode as you would on any device. Here are some filter effects that you can do right on the Galaxy S9 Plus. You have filters like cream, deep forest, classic, cozy, and many more cheesy features. If you do like them, they're all there. You can go ahead and download more from the Samsung store. And some of these actually can make for some nice dreamy photos if you do know what you're doing and maybe edit them just a little bit in like something like Snapseed or Lightroom. They can make some really dreamy photos. So you can go ahead and use that. Flash on and off. You can go for a full screen, but when you do go for a full screen, it does zoom you in a little bit. And also it doesn't give you a sharper resolution. So I wouldn't go full screen if you're looking for the best photos. You do have your optical zoom there as well. Now going into the settings menu, here's where things start to get a little bit more complex. On the rear camera, you have many resolutions you can do, including the 1:1 aspect ratio, for Instagram. You can save RAW and JPEG files for, tweaking the photos yourself or just getting a decent JPEG. You can do that. Video size on the rear goes up to 60 frames per second, and you can't do it for more than 5 minutes, and there's no tracking autofocus when it comes to 60 FPS. So you really gotta have this thing set up on a tripod to get the best shots you can, and do not do more than 5 minutes. You do have timer modes. You can turn HDR rich tone on and off, tracking autofocus right there. Super slow-mo. And one thing I don't really like about the S9's camera is that they don't leave the timer right front and center on the software. I wish they would do that like they used to on some of the older devices. Having the timer right there in the settings facing forward is really nice. It's not there all the time. You got to go into the settings to turn the timer on. You have shooting methods, you have face correction. So, there's a lot that's going on here. It can be a little bit overwhelming for people who don't want to really tweak everything. And you can edit all those modes that they do show. You can add the regular slow motion in if you don't want to do super slow-mo. And that was a little bit tricky to find, that slow motion feature, because I was like, does all this do is super slow-mo? But no, you can find it here in camera settings. You have grid lines, location tags, review pictures, quick launch. You can save it to your SD card if you want to put up to 400 gigs. You can go ahead and say smile, cheese, capture, shoot to record, and you could just reset the settings. Now, getting back into the software, to access different modes, you just swipe over to the right. And I actually found this software to be a little bit sensitive from time to time when swiping through things like AR emoji, hyperlapse. You also have even more features all the way down to your left, which is going to be the live focus, which allows you to blur that background to your own liking and see a wide angle shot. You do have pro mode here, which allows you to tweak things like your white balance. You can go ahead and tweak things like the focus. You can add some filters here. You can also do the aperture yourself by clicking f2.4 and go from 1.5 to 2.4. If you leave it in auto mode, it will do it automatically. You have ISO settings as well that go pretty high, up to 800 there. Not high as a regular camera. And you do have panorama, and you do have food modes, which kind of makes your food look a little bit more dreamy if you do foodies. Now, I do like to mention that this landscape mode does help when you are recording on a tripod, because it's right the way you would like to have it when you do shoot. But let's go ahead and take a look at some real life examples here between both cameras. So here on the first photo, you can see that the Galaxy S9 Plus in the sky kind of blew out the exposure, but both are very sharp photos. Taking a closer look at the bricks, you can see that the Google Pixel 2 XL did a better job at pulling in that detail, although it was darker. So the grass also looked definitely more natural on the left, but some people might prefer that brighter look of the Galaxy S9 Plus. Personally, I'd go with the Pixel 2 XL there. Now in this photo, you can see that the clouds are actually in detail on the left versus the right, which kind of blew out the sky once again on the Galaxy S9 Plus. I would take the Google Pixel 2 XL photo here just because it made things look a little bit more realistic and natural. Now this shot right here, I actually prefer the S9 Plus on the right due to the fact that it just looks more vibrant, and it did about the same job at picking up all the details. Now here at this sidewalk post, you can see the S9 Plus on the left with a very punchy blue sky, and on the right we have a more warm tone, about even here. It comes down to whether you want a warm or more punchy cold photo. Now on this one, I do think the Pixel 2 XL did better, and on this one right here, I also think the Pixel 2 XL did better than the S9 Plus. Now on the selfie, this is a little bit overexposed on the S9 Plus, so all day to the Pixel 2 XL when it comes to the selfie camera. Now taking a look at this landscape shot, you can see that while a little bit dark, look at the sky, look at the clouds, look at the detail in them buildings. This is a really good shot. Now over here on the S9 Plus, it's a little bit brighter again than the Pixel 2 XL, but it's softer in the details. So the buildings don't look quite as detailed. And overall, I think the Pixel 2 XL did a better job. Now, really close up here on this macro, you can see the Pixel 2 XL did a good job on making things look natural. On the S9 Plus, it's a little bit cool and a little bit too bright, I think, for this situation. So the processing is doing a better job so far on the Pixel 2 XL. A extreme close up, you can see that very good detail here for the 2 XL again. And over here on the S9 Plus, very good detail again, just a little bit cold and bright for my likings. Now, let's go into nighttime here and see how the S9 Plus does versus the Pixel 2 XL. Here, it's a little bit reddish on the S9 Plus for some reason. The Pixel 2 XL definitely looked a little bit more realistic, but the S9 Plus f1.5 aperture brought in more detail here when we got closer in on this signpost. Now taking a look at this one-way signpost, you can see that the 2XL kind of had a little bit more grain than the S9 Plus. So the S9 Plus is the better photo here, and zooming in you could see that city of Chicago on the S9 Plus where you cannot see it on a 2XL. So the 2XL doesn't do a great job in really low light conditions compared to the S9, but it does do a good job here when you have a decent amount of light in low light. Now we're going to zoom in a little bit here on these windows. You can see the S9 Plus, while brighter, a little bit more details in those windows. You can see the lines, you can see that's a light inside the window on the 2XL. Now here are some pictures of sushi, and you can see that the 2XL was a little bit more saturated than the S9 Plus, which looked a little bit more detailed than the Pixel 2XL. Here is a front-facing photo where the S9 Plus, again, brighter but better detail. I will pick the 2XL here. Now let's go ahead and look at these buildings, and we're going to take a look at this building on the left, the brown building. We're going to look at the bricks to see which one actually pulled in more detail, and you can see it was the S9 Plus that lost more detail here. Look at the bricks, they're clearly defined on the Pixel 2XL. Even if they're a bit grainy, it's the better photo here. So let's take a look at this parking meter, and you could see that the Galaxy S9 Plus is a little bit orange versus a more natural and detailed look on the Pixel 2 XL. Now both of them are pretty sharp though, so I do appreciate that. But zooming in on the sign, you can see that processing in HDR does really help the Pixel 2 XL lift up things in the background. You can clearly read that a little bit better. Now let's take a look at this shot I took of these buildings and this tower, and you can see that there's really good detail in the bricks on pretty much everything that has bricks here. Let's take a look at these windows and bricks, and you could see that pretty good detail. I can clearly make out those are windows and bricks, and I can clearly define that those are bricks on that tower where it does say Home Goods. Let's take a look at the S9 Plus. Now I do commend Samsung for having an extremely bright photo at night. That f1.5 is a game changer for the brightness, but it's a little bit soft at nighttime. So the photos, while bright, you can see not as clearly defined as the Pixel 2 XL, a little bit softer here, but still very good for a smartphone. Taking a look at the tower, much softer than what we've seen on the Pixel 2 XL. The bricks are not clearly defined, but it's a very nice bright photo. So overall, the Pixel 2 XL versus the S9 Plus, which has the better camera? For my money, it's the Pixel 2 XL due to the processing. It's artificial intelligence. It really just knows what it's doing without you having to know what you're doing. And the S9 Plus has great bright photos at night, and in daytime, they're both just going to be down to personal preference. That's it here. Subscribe if you haven't already. Nick here helping you to master your technology. Be sure to be well, and peace.